Hey, howdy y'all, it's Frightman, and I'm here with Dr. Rick Rotten and Danny Decay. Today we're going to be showing you some of Frightman's favorite pieces of haunt audio hardware and how to use it effectively. Whether it's a garage haunt, a yard haunt, or professional haunt, all of these have a place. So stick around and I'm going to show you how to make your audio spooktacular. So we're going to be showing you this hardware starting off with cheap and going to something that's a little bit more pricey. So the first thing that I'm going to show you is just a simple MP3 player. Now this guy came from Five Below and it was $7 last year. I'm not sure that they still have these, however I did find another version of this at Hobby Lobby and they were $10. But it's simply an MP3 player. Now, getting audio off the internet for free is very easy, and I will put in the description a link to one of my favorite free places to get audio. Now, whether you find this model from Five Below or you get the one from Hobby Lobby, it's pretty much the same thing, right? So you have a place to put your stick, you have a place to do your charging with the USB cord. It has a volume up, a volume down, and it has a repeat button. Now, one thing that both of them do have here on the speaker is they have like a little disco light LED effect. I'm not a fan of that. So all I have done is just taken some black cloth and just cut it and just glued it right on top of that speaker just to hide some of that disco effect from the LED lights. Now, somebody told me a really good way to get more volume out of this is to put it into a flower pot. And it kind of creates this megaphone effect if you put it into a flower pot. I haven't tried that, but it makes perfectly logical sense that that would be a really cool thing to do. So I believe I'm going to be giving that a shot this year, and I think I'll be able to produce the sound to even go out louder with a heavier bass. Now this guy can be recharged. He's not battery operated. It is a rechargeable item. It runs about 6 hours on one charge is what I found, which is, for me, that's plenty of time for my Halloween night. I like to use 5 of these around my yard. I'll put one over in the graveyard. This year I'm probably going to give one to Dr. Rick Rotten because I don't like his soundtrack. So if you have something like this from Spirit Halloween, you don't like the soundtrack, here's how you go ahead and customize that soundtrack. I leave them on continuous play. I don't have them super high so that they're not competing with each other. But what this does by having multiples throughout the yard is as you walk throughout my yard, it allows each section to kind of have its own audio. So it's a really nice effect. They're really cheap. And I say go out and get you 4 or 5 of these things and try them out in your yard. I think you'll be really, really happy with that. Now, going right along with that is going to be this next step of an MP3 player. This guy is from Amazon and he is in the $100 range. But there's a lot of advantages to this over this. Now, the little cheapie, he doesn't really have much of a speaker. This guy has a super powerful amplified speaker. Same principle. You're going to take a memory card, you're going to load your WAV files, but when you do that and you put that stick over here on the side of this guy, he is going to take those files and store it right here inside of this machine. So this guy does require to be plugged in. So over here there is a plug along with the power adapter, and on the other side here is all of our controls. So we have a place where we would be putting in our memory card to load those sounds. There's also volume here, and these buttons are used to program it if you're going to have multiple sounds loaded on it to tell it how you want it to play. You could put as many tracks as will fit on your memory card really, and you're going to label them or name those files 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and so on, and there's a reason that you're going to do that. So he has options on the way that he's going to play those tracks back. You can tell it when it triggers, and right here is going to be the trigger, so it has a motion sensor built into it. You're going to say, when you trigger, I want you to play track 1 only. That's an option. You can say, when you trigger, I want you to play track 1 only, and the next time that you trigger, I want you to play track 2. And the next time that you trigger, I want you to play track 3. That's an option. There's also a third option, and that third option is to say, when you trigger, I want you to play track 1, track 2, track 3, track 4, sequentially back to back. So you have a lot of versatility with this guy. Now for me, I'm just going to be using this to play the one track, right? So one good track, whenever it gets triggered, is probably going to be a loud scream. But let me show you how it works. So you have that sensor, it's sitting in the yard, somebody comes, they walk past the sensor. It's loud, it's effective, and it's a really good scare. I can envision that you put this in the yard where they walk past your sidewalk. Maybe you have it on the side of your driveway. Wherever you put it, this guy is guaranteed to give some jumps. So it's also versatile and doesn't have to be used all the time at Halloween. Let's say you had a happy birthday party. Maybe when people walk up to the front door, it plays happy birthday. Maybe you're having a baby shower and it says something about your baby shower. So, you know, you could be creative with this thing and use it for more than just your haunt. So I think it's a good investment, and it is loud, it is effective. When this thing triggers off, you're going to see your trick-or-treaters jump. Okay, so we've done $7, $10, we've done $100. Now we're going to jump up. We're going to go to what is called an electronic firecracker. I am controlling that with a remote sensor, and I am using a Boobox in order to do this. So let's talk about how all this fits together. The electronic firecracker can be plugged in and just simply work on its own. But if you were to take this and you plug it in, it's just going to fire like crazy. It does also create sparks, so it's really loud and it creates sparks here. So you don't want to put this thing, say, on hay or anywhere where you risk the potential of causing a fire with these sparks. They don't shoot out, and you're going to see that in a minute, but just for safety's sakes, I would just not put this thing where somebody could touch it or where those sparks could be a fire concern. So this comes from a company that is called FrightProps. And there's lots of different configurations. Like I said, you can get this solo for about $70. The configuration that I have here on the table is about $250. So this is how that firecracker unit comes if you just buy the firecracker by itself. So you'll get the firecracker, a plug, and it has an on and off switch. Remember, you cannot just let this thing play over and over continuously, or you're going to burn it out very quickly. So the Boobox is a programmable box, and it has 2 plugs here. And so what I'm able to do is hit a record button and say I want to record plug number 1. So when you hit that record button, every time that you push the plug button, number 1, it's going to trigger that plug on. You can either just hit it or you can hold it for as long as you want it. So for example, I want to have this firecracker go off when one of my trick-or-treaters walks across this sensor, but I don't want it just to fire once. I want it to kind of surprise them. So I'm going to go ahead and hit program, and then I'm going to go maybe fire, let it go, fire, fire, let it go, and I'm going to let that record go for another minute. So the reason that I'm going to keep recording that extra minute, when somebody goes across this sensor and it triggers off the way that I have recorded it, that means that for another minute, it can't be triggered again. So this prevents somebody from just standing in front of your sensor doing like this and triggering it over and over again. So in 2023, I used this with Lethal Lily. And I had the firecracker down on the ground, hidden close to her in a safe place that wouldn't catch on fire. And I also had a super bright light on the plug too. So when you crossed in front of Lethal Lily, not only would you get hit with the firecracker, but you would also see her light up with the lights that flash to it. Let me dim the lights and show you what this firecracker looks like. Okay, so it's ready to roll. We have our sensor hooked up. Here is the firecracker. I'm going to hold the firecracker here in my hand so you can see it. And I'm going to take my hand and I'm going to run it across that sensor. So as you can see, this firecracker is not only good from a visual perspective, but also an audio perspective. Really cool toy to have. Again, there's lots of different configurations. You don't have to have the Boobox. As long as you have a way to turn this thing on and off, you're good to roll. There is another option, I think, with just a remote control. What you don't want to do is just plug it in. So if you just plug it in, it's going to start popping and popping and popping, and that's going to kill it pretty quick. It does have a limited number of fires that it can do before this piece wears out. So that's not the effect that you want. You want to be able to just trigger it for a few seconds here and there as needed. So our top of the line item is going to be this VFX very loud audio player. This plays WAV files, where these guys play MP3s. This one is a WAV file player. Now you can use a free program called Audacity to convert your MP3 files into WAV files and load onto this. And each track has its own setting, whether it's going to be a single play or whether it's going to be a repeat play. So this guy charges up. In this case, I have bought an additional accessory, which is this harness. So you will take this guy and slide it right into this harness. Now, the reason that we're doing this is because this is intended for a roving character. Whether it's somebody that's scaring inside of your haunt, maybe they're walking around the yard. That's what this guy is. It's going to fit underneath the costume. And you also have, in my case, the option, I bought the key fob, which is how I'm going to trigger off each track. So there's 6 buttons here on my key fob. So the key fob can be attached to your belt. It does have an option for that. It could be handheld, you know, however you want to do it. It's got a wrist strap, so there's different ways that you can handle this key fob. But essentially, what we're going to do is when the actor is ready, whether they're roaming or whether they're in the haunted house, is they're just simply going to push one of the buttons on your key fob like this. Or maybe the second button.
Are you afraid, my dear?
Or maybe option 4.
You are not safe.
So you have all these different tracks on this key fob with your custom sounds. And it's really very loud and it's very effective. The manufacturer supplies it preloaded with some chainsaw sounds, and they say that this thing is actually louder than a real chainsaw. So it also comes with a microphone, and that microphone plugs right into the PA system. So you also have the option as a haunted actor to be able to talk to people, maybe in your queue line. And it's multifunctional, so it doesn't have to be Halloween. Maybe you're going to go to a protest rally and you want to be that person that's out there that's the loudest at the rally. Well, this is the guy for you. So another one of those multi-purpose items. Now, coming in about $400 for the package that I have. It's a little pricey, but you know, I thought about things like, well, Dr. Rick Rotten. So he didn't quite cost this much, but some of these guys, they can cost $350, $400, right? And they're not made very well. They're not made to last for a long period of time. This guy is. So this guy has got a hard case, it's heavy, it's going to last a long time. And again, it's dual purpose. It doesn't have to be just for Halloween. So the way I thought it out is, you know what? I'll take one less prop the year that I bought this, and I would have this instead. And I'm very happy with this purchase. Check out the description. This is from VFX Creates. At the bottom of the Minion is going to be the sockets where you will be connecting this to your PC. The controls for the Minion are located right here at the top. So we have a place to plug in that microphone. We have a volume control. We have an indicator for the battery life. This is where we're going to plug in to recharge it. And it does have an on and off button. Hey friends, I'm trying to grow the channel, so it's really important for you to leave me a comment or give me a like. It's important for YouTube to know that you like my content, and it keeps me motivated to continue to want to provide content for you. So now you know a lot of the Frightman Insider tips to audio. I think each one of these has its own place, and you know, if you want to go with the $10 option, cool. Get you 3 or 4 of these and put it around your yard. You want to go with the high end, you want to do what I did and have a blend. They all work well together. They all work well individually. So I hope you learned something. I hope you have fun with some of this. And until next time, stay spooky, my friends.